Hey guys, welcome to the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. I'm Joe Klemczewski, founder of the Diet Doc with Dr. Kori Propst, our health psychologist. And we've been on this kind of a kick the last few episodes talking about, we're always kind of focused on goals and achieving things because that's what we do as consultants and people who are helping individuals achieve goals and fitness entrepreneurs achieve business goals. We constantly help people solve problems.
Yes, we do.
People call us, email us, and we're inundated all day. We are constantly solving problems, but actually just solving them is kind of like what we talked about last time, is looking at patience as just getting to the end and we've met the goal. If we just solve a problem and move on to the next problem, is that really what life is about, Dr. Propst?
Well, it depends on how you perceive a problem, Dr. Joe.
How should we perceive our problems?
Well, I think most of us perceive problems as something, like you said, to be solved. They're not bad. They're bad. We want them out of our way, right? They're an obstacle. And so in that, they can create a lot of internal and external conflict. I propose that we look at them a little bit differently. I'm on a word kick lately. I've been looking at like the roots of certain words, and
I was wondering if you're learning Latin or something over there.
I kind of want to, but look at the word problem. It starts with pro. It doesn't start with con. Pro means forward, okay? And when we listen to how I'm talking, when we run into a problem, we feel like we're being blocked. Problems can actually be pathways towards forward movement because they really do force us to look at things from new vantage points and viewpoints, and they challenge us to question what we've been doing because there might be a more effective or skillful way to do it. So pro is forward movement in a problem. The blem comes from the Greek word ball in. And when I read that, I was like, so it's literally, and blem means to throw. So I'm thinking of a ball being thrown forward. A problem is literally a ball being thrown forward. It's like when you throw a ball, you move toward it. You want to go, you're passing it, or it's like I think of an animal too, fetching a ball. When you chuck it, it goes and gets it. So we want to be moving in many ways, like embrace the problems, like come to me problems, or go get the problem, because the problem will reveal to you different things that you need to process and learn and grow into and develop new skills around. There's a quote by Marcus Aurelius that, as I'm digging into the word problem, this came up. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in the way becomes the way, which orients us in terms of a problem completely differently than we would otherwise be looking at it. So we're turning what initially feels like a trial, heavy, arduous, like clawing to remove things, into a triumph. I think of hiking in many ways. And I've been on some challenging hikes where like I'm bouldering at some points and having to, fix my fingers in cracks in the rock and my foot's slipping, and man, I'm developing in moments like that. And I could look at it as a problem, or I could look at it as a really interesting challenge to learn about myself and develop new skills around.
I think that is such a perfect metaphor. When you originally a couple minutes ago said just saying the word problem, you feel like you're running into it. And that is in the most literal sense true. A problem is making you stop, figure something out, and find a new way. And I'm reading a book right now in anthropological psychology, and it's very evolutionary in its perspective of how we came to even have the ability to believe things, become transcendental above our circumstances. And when you look at other species and they encounter a problem, somebody in the group figures out a way, as you said, and all of a sudden, guess what? They're teaching it to other members of that species. And you can look at the same species in different parts of a country or continent, and they have entirely different cultures based around one individual who solved a problem and then taught it to everybody else. And that's how we all individually and collectively progress, as you said, move forward. So if you do, this is really brilliant. As you see a problem, as your quote from Aurelius, as not in the way, but the way.
The way. Yeah.
That is a whole different perspective on problems.
Well, and that's literally what it's about. Perspective and perception. It makes me think of the concept of post-traumatic stress growth. We're all familiar with post-traumatic stress disorder. And it comes down to, how did I perceive the trauma or the experience? How did I perceive, and what perspective did I take when this occurred? And then it brings me to, Joe, we've talked about this actually before, life actually happening for us. So whatever, if we call it an obstacle, if we call it conflict, if we call it a problem, whatever, this is for me. This is actually being put here so that I may develop in a way that's going to help me move through my life more skillfully. Remember, this is the long game, guys, our entire lives. So we don't want to spend it trying to avoid problems and not doing things because something might happen. There's Nietzsche, how do you like pronounce it, Joe?
Nietzsche is the German pronunciation.
Okay, Nietzsche has another quote that hit me. My formula for greatness, Nietzsche says, in a human being is amor fati. Are you familiar with this?
No, but it sounds like something I want to use.
Love your fate. Literally, translation, love your life. One wants nothing. This is, if you're in this space of amor fati, you want nothing to be different. Not forward, not backward, not to merely bear what is necessary, but to love it.
Yeah, something you said there about, how we perceive everything creates our own lives. And so two people can go through the same thing and have incredibly different outcomes. And it's too bad we don't become quite as self-aware early on in life, because a lot of those childhood traumas, when our brains are just starting to develop, create those ingrained patterns. But at least as adults, I mean, the sooner we can say, look, the stories I'm telling about this particular problem or trauma or challenge is what is going to create my future. I mean, there are so many cliches about, our words and our stories becoming who we are, but
it's true.
Just true. It's just flat out true.
They create our worlds. Yeah.
So our homework this week, Kori, is going to be identifying a problem. And instead of having our normal reaction, we're going to back up and say, wait a second, this isn't in my way. It's going to be the new way. Now, how am I going to solve this in a way that makes me better? Is that how you would state that?
Oh, I love it, Joe. Yeah, because it's going to move us into a different way of thinking.
Forward.
Yes.
Forward.
You got it.
All right. Thank you, Kori. And thank you guys for watching and listening. We will catch you next time in the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast.
Thanks, guys.